the 8 easiest baits for beginner fishermen. Let's talk about them. Alright, if you're an experienced fisherman and you know how to use all these and some that aren't going to be talked about in this video, this is not the video for you. This is for the people that are brand new to fishing, don't know what any of the lures are, don't know how to use them. This is the video for you. Now, I'm not going to go into details and specifics on what colors and when and things like that you should use these baits, because these type of baits are really year-round. Because fish don't stop feeding. They feed a little bit more certain times of the year, they feed a little bit less certain times of the year. But for the beginner fisherman, these are the easiest to use baits, because most of them you just chuck and wind. Chuck them out there, reel. Chuck it out, reel. There's no real twitching or anything like that, except for with one of these baits, maybe two. Anyway, starting out, the classic spinnerbait. You can run it without a trailer, you can run it with a trailer, you can fish it fast, you can fish it slow, you can fish it real high in the water column, you can fish it down on the bottom, somewhere in the middle. The spinnerbait is one of the OG, just classic, easiest to use baits. You can use it with spinning setup, you can use it with casting, spin cast, whatever. Chuck it out there and just reel it back to you. The one plus side that I forgot to mention with spinnerbaits is because of that wire, they are usually fairly weedless, so you don't have to worry about them snagging too often. Alright, the next one. It's in the spinnerbait family, even though it's not a spinnerbait. It is a jig, but a bladed jig, or chatterbait, or whichever people like to call it. But it's what she looks like. They come in every color, size you could ever imagine. Bunch of different brands make them, but the way they work is you chunk them out. The water hits that blade, starts sending it side to side like that. Puts out a lot of vibrations, a lot of flash. It gets that skirt to kind of moving around a little bit. You can put trailers on these. You can work them without trailers. You can fish them shallow, you can fish them deep, just like a spinnerbait. Chuck them out there, reel it. Chuck them out there, reel it. Next up, this one is in the line of baits that are considered crankbaits. It's also considered a reaction bait, which is one of those things where it just, you throw it out, reel it, gets a reaction out of the fish. You can get them silent, or you can get them with rattles. And that is the Lipless Crankbait. You can get them in every pattern that you could imagine. This one is, I believe it's the 4K bluegill, something like that, from 6 cents. It's the Snatch 70X. Lipless cranks are all more or less designed the same. Of course, a lot of them have different bodies, different weights. Some suspend, some sink. But just keeping it simple, another bait that you can just chuck it out, let it sink a little bit, and reel it in. Now, you can fish these higher in the water column, you can fish them on the bottom, which with them being an open hook design like that, you can and probably will snag and lose them. But yeah, Lipless Crankbait, another super easy to use bait that works pretty much year round. There are times where it works a little bit more than others, but generally it's a good one to have on. And you can get lipless cranks pretty cheap too. Cart and Cordell usually sells theirs for around $3 to $4 a piece. And while we're on the topic of crankbaits, you got square bills, you got round bills, you got deep divers, shallow divers, round bills, just crankbaits in general. Now, they are really made to be bounced off of cover, like on the bottom, rocks, stumps, trees, stuff like that. But they will catch fish just chucking them out in whatever depth and just doing a straight retrieve. Chuck it out, reel it in, chuck it out, reel it in. A lot of the bigger names like Tactical Bass had really pushed the idea of chucking them out, reeling them in real fast for a couple of turns, and then pause. Or as they put it, burn, 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 pause. You got small ones that are shallow diving. That is the 6 Sense Crush 25, by the way. You got small ones that are medium dive ones. Another 6 Sense Crush. You got medium sized ones. That one is another 6 Sense. I believe it's the C10. But yeah, another medium diver. And then you've got bigger ones, which this is actually a small one compared to a lot of the crankbaits that are on the market. Little size comparison there for you. Crankbaits, they're stupidly versatile. They catch fish in just about any conditions. And again, chuck them out there, reel them in. Chuck them out, reel them in. Crankbaits are super simple to use. You can get even like smaller than the smallest ones I just showed you. Those little tiny micro sized ones that you can use for panfish and crappie and stuff like that. Strike King makes a really good one. I believe it's called the Bitsy Minnow or something like that. Really good for crappie and panfish, like I said. And they're usually not too bad on the wallet. Next up is a swim jig. Now the reason, or the difference between a swim jig and a regular jig for like pitching and all that is the head design. That's the only real difference. For example, I just pulled out all of them. We'll do that. No, we won't. So you've got a little bit different head here. This is the 6 Sense inbred jig, or hybrid jig as it's actually called, but Pig Patrol is to blame for me calling this the inbred jig, because that's what he calls it. But you got a plain, just rounded, semi-pointed head there. But staying on topic here, swim jigs. You get them, like I said, any pattern imaginable. You can put a trailer on, use them without a trailer. I like using these Strike King Rage Menace plastics on here because they make a really good swim bait or swim jig trailer. But another bait, you chuck them out, reel them in. Chuck them out, reel them in. If I had to say the type of conditions to fish them around, or structure to fish them around, is grass, around bridge pillars, stuff like that. I mean, anywhere really. It's supposed to imitate a bluegill or a shad, whatever color you just happen to get them in. Again, swim jig, super easy to use. Just chuck it out and reel it in. You can fish it just about any depths. Next up, soft plastic jerkbait. Now, you can get them small size. This is like a 4-inch, I think, Zoom. Can't remember. Yeah, Zoom Super Fluke. I think it's Super Fluke Junior, I believe. But you can get them like 4-inch, 3-inch. You can get them 7, 8 inches. All kinds of different colors. You can fish them on a just plain worm hook, a EWG style hook like this, a keel weighted EWG style hook like this, or the way I like to fish them, because it gives it a little bit different presentation, makes them stand out a little bit, is fishing that on a underspin. Technically, soft plastic jerkbait, but an underspin. You don't have to do this, but you know, a little extra flash makes it stand out amongst all the other shad. Super easy, like just chunk it out there, or reel it in, maybe give it a little twitch here and there. Nothing special. Next up, my favorite bait or lure of all time, because it imitates what the fish are after every single day of every single year, and that is the Swimbait. You know, you can get them in all different sizes. You can get them from 1 inch all the way up to 12, 14 inches for like super big lake trout, striper, things like that. This is the 6 Sense 2.7 Divine Swimbait. I've just got it on a little Z-Man Ned rig hook because that just fits it perfectly for that body size. It is a little bit tricky when you're first starting to use swim baits and getting everything lined up to where the bait isn't, you know, doing that or doing that or whatever with how it's rigged on the hook. But again, Swimbaits, super good baits to have on hand because, like I said, they mimic what fish are eating every single day. Small fish. Same thing. A little bit bigger swim bait. You get them all sorts of colors. I like using chartreuse for muddy, dirty water and clear water. You know, something like that. It's a little bit better for the cleaner water situations. Something like that. Dirty, muddy water. And lastly, this one is really, you could do just about anything with this rig. And it's the Texas rig. It's super simple to rig. You can use just about any kind of worm, any kind of swim bait, crawls, you name it on one. Let me get this leader line out of the way. But that's it. Just a Texas rig. Now, this one's a little bit different because I'm not using a bullet head or a bullet sinker and a EWG hook. I think this one's a owner finesse ultra head or something like that. Basically what it is just an EWG hook with a little ball head weight on there. That way you don't have to carry a pack of bullet heads and a pack of hooks. All of it, one package. And just any old stick worm. This is a 6 cents clout 5.4 inch in the merthiolate color. I like throwing oddball colors like this because it's just another thing that new anglers need to think about is throw oddball colors. You know, fish see green worms, black worms, green and blue worms, stuff like that all the time from other anglers. Throw something different. That's more of an eye-catching colors compared to everything else that they see. But anyway, Texas rigs, you can, like I said, put crawls on them, you can put swim baits on them, you can put flukes on them like the underspin thing, stick worms, curltail worms, you name it. Texas rig is one of the most versatile lures or rigs on the market. Like this here, you just chuck it out there and just bounce it along the bottom. Chuck it out, let it sink to the bottom, and just bounce it along the bottom. Now if you've got like a swim bait on there, which is not seen too much, but you can get a little swim bait and put on a Texas rig style hook and just reel it in the same way. It functions the same way. Crawls. I don't think I've actually got one loose here, but you can put cross style baits on them. The Texas rig is stupidly easy for any experienced angler or inexperienced angler. So definitely another one you need to have in your box because you can do, like I said, anything on the market with it. But yeah, Texas rig is another one that anybody can fish. Any level of experience in fishing can fish it. Beginners, definitely have that in your box. And just get you a variety of soft plastic baits to use on it. Crawls, flukes, stick worms, curltail worms, lizards. They all work. Anyway, that is, I guess, what was it, 8 baits. They're the most user-friendly for beginner fishermen that have absolutely no idea what to do. These are all baits that anybody that's just starting out can use. Chuck them out, reel them in. Chuck them out, reel them in. There's no real finessey twitching, no real fast, slow down real fast, twitch, any special techniques to using these. Super simple baits. Throw them out, reel them in. Anyway, I hope that helps any of you new anglers that are just getting into fishing and don't really know what kind of baits to use. Every one of these baits can be used any time of the year. Like I said, there are times of the year where they work better than others, but they're the easiest to use starting out, so make things a lot easier on you. Another thing that I want to mention real quick, that if you're starting out in fishing, you need to understand that you are going to snag and you are going to lose lures. That's all there is to it. It happens to every single person that's ever fished. You may go buy a $2 jig or crankbait or a spinnerbait or a $20 one or whatever. At some point, you are going to snag and lose that bait and be out that money. So it's something that you just need to go ahead and be okay with right at the get-go. Anyway, hope you liked that video. Hope it taught you a thing or two or three or whatever, which is saying something for me teaching somebody. Anyway, hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching.